I specifically called your office and I said, I don't set me up with somebody to tell me to mail out 4,000 letters, this and that. I said, I need somebody that's going to help me grow my business.
Hi, I'm Jack Bosch, real estate investor, mom, wife, and host of the InFLOW podcast. And I'm passionate about helping women invest in land and apartments. Join me each and every week for real estate investing strategies and interviews with thought leaders that will leave you inspired and ready to step into flow for inflows of cash, inflows of ease, and inflows of grace in your life. Now, here on YouTube are the video versions of my podcast, and in order for you to get my latest information, please go ahead and subscribe. And now, let's go. Welcome to the InFLOW podcast. I'm your host, Jack Bosch. Excited to be here with you guys today and have an amazing guest with me. Her name is Christina Walls. She is one of the amazing trailblazers within our land investing community. And I am so excited to have you here with Christina. Welcome to the InFLOW podcast.
Hi, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here with us. Thank you for sure. Christina, I know that you are not new to entrepreneurship, that you have been, before being in the real estate space, because I know you are now a professional land flipper. Besides being in the real estate space, you had or have in parallel another business that, basically the real estate investing is for you right now, a gig that can potentially turn into something that you do full time here real soon, with the level of success that you've had. So you're incredibly, a rock star, kicking ass out there on two fronts, and entrepreneurship is not new to you. But I want us to go back to what has brought you to the point where you're at right now. And could you tell us a little bit about your journey around how you grew up around money? How was money when you were growing up? What connotation do you have with money from those times and now?
Well, I grew up in Ohio, single mom, youngest of four, and we didn't have a lot of money, but I kind of didn't realize it. I didn't know kind of where we were financially. Money wasn't really discussed in the house. We grew up in the country and farm country, and almost everybody I was around was in, similar farm homes around fields. I did know that, there were sometimes we didn't have a lot of money, but it was just really not a topic at all. Very, very seldom. I knew my mom would be frustrated sometimes, or that she was struggling. But when you're a kid, you kind of don't realize it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Probably not until I got older did I realize probably the burden she bore. She just didn't talk about it. And so I had like no financial education at all. The schools don't teach it. But as a child, I definitely had dreams. I wanted to do something in this life, and it wasn't necessarily rooted in money, but it was just internal ambition. I wanted to do something with myself. So, later on in life, I just had, went to college and had regular jobs and stuff like that. But then it was time for my son to go to school, and I didn't like the school system where we were. So I thought, you know what, I need to make enough money to send him to any school I want to send him to. So I started a cleaning business, and that's just kind of where it started. I was able to put him through any school that he wanted. I was able to be available to him. And then, but I knew it was temporary. I knew I didn't want to continue with the cleaning business forever. It's kind of an annoying job. but I didn't know there was a recession. So I guess there was a recession and I was hiring people. So it was a service is a good thing. But one of the things I started realizing was that when you have your own business, nobody tells you how much you're going to make. That's up to you. Nobody says you got to work Monday, Friday, 9 to 5, and that's it. So it kind of sparked an interest in me to never work for anybody else, you know.
Yeah.
And I knew I wanted to do real estate at one point, but I was kind of like, man, how am I going to do this? I have no education. I have no funds to start investing because so I tried to get my real estate license and quickly realized I'm not a very good realtor because I tried to be too independent. My broker did not like me. I was like, oh, I have to ask you for everything. My bad.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So that's how.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different mentality, because it's not entrepreneurial.
No.
It is in a way, but at the end of the day, if you're working for the commission, I always have felt that there's something that you have not gotten completely right, that you have not seen the full picture,
Yeah, that's right.
So tell us about your journey. So then how did you get started with real estate? So one was to try to go get your license and work basically in a brokerage, and how did you stumble into land flipping?
So I start when my son turned 16 and I didn't have to drive him to basketball and swimming and school and all of that. I started attending classes at one of our local REI, Central Florida Real Estate Association. It's just an investors association. And I went to a Sunday class, and Jack Bosch, was your husband, was giving a class on flipping land. And there was a couple sitting in front of me, and they had just done like one or two deals. And as I sat there and I was listening, and I thought, I can do this. This is something I can do, So I bought the course, and literally I just started immediately. And I did my first deal in 30 days. Literally, I did a double close on a piece of property that was just slightly delinquent in taxes. And I made $8,000 in 30 days. And I was like, oh my gosh, let me just keep repeating this,
Yeah. And you know what? A lot of us, because we get so many distractions, we find something, it works well. And because it works so well, we kind of get bored and, go on to something else now. Yeah. But what made you think that when you said that you were sitting there and then you thought, oh, I think I can do this? What were the things that made you think that? What was it? Something about the strategy, or was it the simplicity, or was it your real estate, a little bit of the real estate background that you had? What made you think, okay, I can do this?
Well, I could do it from anywhere predominantly, and that appealed to me. And I could do it.
Especially in these times right now. Can you imagine,
Absolutely.
Having to go and look at a property?
No.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I think probably the simplicity of it, it really is very simple. There's step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And then as I talked to the people in front of me who were doing it, and I asked them about the program, it's literally step 1, step 2, step 3. And I had talked to other investor mentors in different areas, and I needed step 1, step 2, step 3, because I felt lost when they were talking to me. Like, I didn't quite know the language. I didn't know everything that went into it. And whenever I realized that the program was literally step 1, step 2, step 3, and it was so easy to implement. And that's why I think, and I remember early on, somebody had posted something about trying something different. And I think you posted something about first learn this process first, and then maybe veer out. Yeah. And I thought that's so true. And I think also, like, as the story goes, when the student is ready, the teacher arrives, I was ready to commit. I was ready to make a change. And I was actively looking. And therefore, and I did, once I got the program and started watching it, I truly committed. I committed to being successful in it, and of course that's step 1.
Yeah. And that commitment is so important, that we are firm in that commitment, that we kind of like, burn the boat, so to speak, and focus, and, because there will be struggles, like anything else. In spite of the simplicity there, we all will have to deal with struggles along the way. What do you think are some of the biggest struggles that you had, when you were starting with the land flipping?
Probably starting is just learning things I didn't know. just kind of being nervous
Yeah.
about learning just the
The
little
new.
things, I mean, it wasn't the big things. It was kind of like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I don't know how to mail merge, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do with this Excel spreadsheet. It was really
Uh-huh.
the minor things. But again, because I made the commitment to learn and to
Uh-huh.
be successful,
Uh-huh.
I said, okay, I don't know how to do it, but I'll just figure it out. I'll watch YouTube. I'll go to Fiverr. I'll go to Upwork. I'll pay someone to help me. And, that's really the root of it. I just committed to being successful and to learning it.
Yeah. Now, so then you do, your first deal, it's $8,000. You keep on doing deals, you keep on doing them for how many, for how long have you been doing this now?
A little over 2 years.
A little over 2 years. At some point though, you decide that, that you wanted a mentor and a coach. What made you decide that at what point were you that you thought, okay, I need this now?
Okay, so I can do deals. I don't have an issue with doing deals. I can talk to people. So to me, it wasn't doing the deals where
Yeah.
the problem rested. For me, even in my other business, I got to a certain level and I just became stagnant.
Yeah.
And it was
Kind of
simply
like your incomplete toes, Yeah.
yeah, well, not just income, knowledge.
Yeah.
I didn't have business knowledge. So I specifically called your office and I said, I don't set me up with somebody to tell me to mail out 4,000 letters, this and that. I said, I need somebody that's going to help me grow my business.
Yeah.
Not the deal part, not that my coach hasn't helped me with a few issues on deals, but that's not really our focus. And I had very specific goals.
Yeah.
When I called for the coaching, I said, don't give me this, don't give me that. This is what I need. And I knew
Exactly.
I needed it because even in my other business, I only knew what I knew.
Yeah.
I needed somebody to, something from the outside coming in, teaching me things that I never learned. I didn't go to school for business. I had no business. And I realized that running a business is just not one aspect. You can know how to negotiate and do deals all day long, but until you know how to run the business side, which isn't very glamorous and isn't very fun, but if you don't do it, you will never go beyond where you are. And my goal is to first hit the $1 million mark and then hit the 2 million, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? But that's my goal. I knew that you don't get on the Olympic podium by yourself. You do need a team and you do need support. And my coach has been very instrumental in doing, and every time it's time for our meeting, I have goals. There's things that I want to do. There's places I want to go. And we do need support. We do need people from the outside.
Yeah, and that's the beauty, about our program is that we are a family, and we are a boutique organization. We're not a huge organization, and what that means that we're really able to customize and adapt, to the speed, to the level. We have an amazing, group of master coaches right now, and they know how to adapt based on, where, someone's at, and based on that, you're kind of placed, with the right coach, in addition to us having an assessment, that kind of like assesses how you take action. It's not just your personality, but action in general, and based on your goals as well and where you're at in your business. For sure, that is something that we take a lot of pride in being able to do that. And I'm super happy to hear that you're getting it.
Me too. Yeah. And it applies just not to one business. What he's
exactly
is across the board.
Yeah, yes. Exactly. It's something that it's skills that you master basically, and that you can transfer them no matter what you're doing. Absolutely. Now, what are the biggest things that you think have changed since you started working with a coach, in terms of, like, when you say, I didn't have any business degree or any business knowledge, and yes, I can do the deal. So what have been tangibly what has changed in terms of how you run your business now?
Well, I would say conversion rates, KPI, key performance indicators, what I have control of, and what I can adjust. I would say that was like our first meeting. And I was like, oh my gosh, how have I lived this long and did not know these things? The things I can control and the things I can't control. And also, again, I always emphasize Mindframe. One of the things my coach and I talk about is Mindframe. And I can say, people don't realize that for me, a vehicle of growing has been land investing in terms of my mind frame, because once you do something that you wanted to do and you realize you can do it, it changes you. It opens up a door.
Yeah. How has that transformed you?
Oh my gosh.
Transformation, not just money in the bank account, but
right.
Can you give us some specific examples?
Absolutely. I mean, to me, it's kind of been, it might sound strange, but it's almost been like a healing process on some levels. It might sound strange saying that, but I grew up in a single with a single mom. My dad was an alcoholic. I had all of these hindrances. I wanted to be somebody, I wanted to do something in life, but I had all of these internal struggles and blocks and fears. And I just said, you know what, again, it goes back to the commitment. I committed to being successful. And with that commitment means that I have to commit to overcoming fears. I have to commit to doing things that I really don't know how to do and figuring it out as I go. So, I mean, it's been instrumental in confidence. And then you start meeting people and they're doing fantastic things right along with you. And you're like, oh my gosh, you're doing that. I can do that. And they become your friends and it becomes a network. And then you really start realizing that, a good portion of your life, you were kind of like in a cave, and now you come out of this cave and you still have things you struggle with. There's still days where you think like, oh my gosh, wow, but you start realizing that those are just moments and those are, that's in your mind. And if you move beyond it, then you'll really find that what's on the other side of that fear is where you're looking to go. You have to move through it. So it's been instrumental in just, I made a video one time about how real estate investing changed my world, but it really did. And it's, people don't realize, and it's not about money. I mean, money is the side product, but what it does to you in terms of learning and growing is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So we need to talk a little bit about money, only because if we don't discuss money, we're going to end up, homeless.
Right.
So I wanted to ask you, and if you don't mind sharing, approximately, your first year, you said you're 2 years in it. What were your, overall or global profits, the first year, or since you started the land business, whichever way you want to, share
so it. The first year, part-time, I profited 50,000.
Okay.
Second year, 100,000. And so far this first quarter, about 80,000 so far.
So 80,000 in just one quarter.
Right. And that would be with seller financing deals, cash deals, a multitude of deals. So this has been my best first quarter for sure.
Do you think that it's the KPIs, it's really dialing in on the KPIs that have made the difference, along with all the cumulative experience of the last 2 years?
I think it all. I think what starts happening is things start falling into place. I think you got to go through some things, you got to learn some things, and things just start falling into place because you're being consistent, because you're doing what you're supposed to do, because
checking in. Or even like the checking in with, like, for example, I know your coach is Mike Smyer, correct?
Correct, that's correct.
And you're with him on a weekly, in terms of like setting goals with him at the beginning of the year, all of that for the quarter. Has that, do you think been part also of what moved the needle?
Well,
Because I'm like, if you're like on track, you're just $20,000 short
I
coming in
know.
from your entire second year in just one quarter.
Yeah, that's correct. Well, I do think the consistency and, you know,
Excuse me.
so writing the goals down and setting the goals. Last time I talked to Mike, he was like, "So are you hitting your goals?" I'm like, "I'm hitting my goals." Yeah, absolutely, I'm hitting my goals. Now will I hit them every month? I plan to hit them every month.
Yeah.
That's why I'm setting the goals so I can hit them.
Yeah.
Now, of course, sometimes you have those fears like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to hit it. Well, just keep going. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just keep
Yeah.
going.
Yeah. Awesome.
So yeah, I think putting them down on paper and looking at them and then working backwards. This is
Yeah.
the goal. What do I need to
Reverse
do?
engineering. And that's
Yes.
something that we always like, every single of our coaches knows that they need to have those conversations
Yes.
really at the beginning of this coaching relationship, because this is so important to know what the goal is, so
Yep.
that you have something, you have the target, the general direction. If things are a little bit fluid as you go, but at least what you're shooting for, and being able to then decide, okay, this is what I need to be doing on a monthly basis, to
Yep.
meet, my quarterly goal. This is what I need to be doing on a weekly basis.
Yep.
And this is what I need to be doing on a daily basis, and so on and so forth. These structure rhythms of success are critical, and you cannot imagine how much we emphasize that, during because we have every other week coaches calls, basically,
Yep.
with our entire coaching team. And that's something we definitely, emphasize. Now, I wanted to ask you, in times like the ones that we're living right now, with a lot of, uncertainty, at the time of this recording, Christina, how do you incorporate inflows of grace, of ease, in your life, and what keeps your mind, in a positive state? Because if we're in a fearful state,
Right.
these goals are not going to be met. Creativity is not going to kick in.
Right.
I always call them like heavenly downloads are not going to meet you. And magic is not going to happen, and you're not going to come up with creative solutions to whatever issues we face in uncertain times. So, what are some of the things that you do? Some of the daily practices that you bring into your life to kind of like incorporate grace and ease into your life?
Well, the opposite of faith is fear.
Yes.
Fear is a hindrance, and we all typically can recognize when fear is knocking at the door. We feel a hindrance, we feel like scared. So I think just having awareness of this, and to be honest, just annihilating it, by taking action. Sit down with your plans. Take the action. And I'm a very firm believer that the dreams that we have and the goals that we have inside, they're not something we make up. I think it's like a God-given dream and goal. And if it's a God-given dream and goal, then we have the ability to fulfill that dream and goal. So what goes on around us is what goes on around us, but we have the power to control what we do. I don't listen to the haters or whatever you want to call them, to the negative things. Yeah, I understand we live in a world where there's insecurity and there's things going on, but I'm not going to fall for it, so to speak. Again, whenever there was a recession in my other business, I was hiring people, because I knew I had a goal, I knew I had a purpose, and I knew that I had the ability to fulfill it, and it's no different.
Yeah, and you basically, instead of being, reactive, you're
Right.
responding to what's going on in your environment, and you're capitalizing on the opportunities that are out there of people needing your service. Back
Correct.
then, when that recessionary period happened, back in 2008, 2009, is what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Right.
So what are you most excited about the future, in spite of the uncertainty we live in? What are you excited about? For your family, for your son, for, I don't know, for your business?
Well, one of the things you said is that the flow of creativity, so what happens is as you progress, you get these ideas. You're like, oh my gosh, that would be great to do, you know? So I will probably always do land. You know,
Yeah.
I definitely enjoy it. There's multi benefits to it. Um, so I do want some of the different things that I want to do is I want to show my family that what's possible. That's
Yeah.
important to me. You know, there's not everybody has the same mind frame. Even though we grew up in the same house, we don't all have the same mind frame. So I want to show my family, but I also want to show women that you don't have to be stuck in a
Yeah.
particular scenario. I have done all of this solo, and I can recall, you know, feeling kind of sorry for myself at one point, and I thought, you know what, that's not working for me no more. You know, I'm my own person. I'm gonna make my own choices, and I'm gonna make my own destiny.
Yeah.
And so there's so many things I'm excited about the future. You know, I mean, there really is. You know, I want to create passive income. You know, I'm working on a book. I want to do speaking. I mean,
Woohoo!
there's so much, you know what I mean? It's like, but again, it all starts with that door opening and you going through it. A lot of times people falter because of fear. The door is right there in front of them, you know?
Mhm.
So I guess for me, I want part of my mission would be to encourage people to go through that door. You know,
Yeah.
go through that door. Be willing to take the risk. Be willing to be uncomfortable. Be willing to succeed. Be willing to commit, you
Yeah.
know. And
Absolutely.
so, oh my gosh, I'm excited about a lot of things.
Wonderful. Now, if you were to be, you know, and that's like kind of like to, you know, to wrap up, if you wanted to leave, you know, someone with one piece of advice, you know, for a woman listening out there, or just any person, anyone that is listening to us, what would that be?
I guess probably when you feel stuck and you don't know what to do and you have a dream within you, um, don't repress it. You know, be willing to again go through the barriers. Be willing to
Hmm.
take the steps that are
Beautiful.
necessary.
Yeah.
Be willing to meet new people. Be in new surroundings. You know, again, I think it comes down to taking the risk. And also, I would say one more thing would be check your emotions, because your
Yeah.
emotions can tell you one thing, but within you feel another. Like I had said earlier, I had a desire as a child to do
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Well, you know, if you don't act on that, then you're just going to remain where you are. And most people, when you're
We call that in like
complacent,
remaining in like comfortable misery, you know, when where there's
yes,
that whisper of your soul, of your heart,
yeah,
that deep yearning, and you don't, you know, and you don't act on it. It's almost like, yeah, it's like a painfully miserable, you know what I mean, to
yeah,
feel that with that on a daily basis. Yeah, it's like it's almost like that pressure on fulfilled potential, and it can even like sometimes, you know, really manifest in like anxiety and depression in people, and you know what I mean, when
yep,
you're talking emotions right now. And and it's so important to really to listen to that whisper, to really have faith in yourself, and take the
yep.
next leap, and so on and so forth. um Thank you so much, Christina. This has been an amazing conversation. I didn't know that you were like really, like, I knew you were kicking some butt, but wow, Q1 of 2020 is looking amazing. So and I didn't know that you know, you had started as a realtor, and so on and so forth. And so it was very interesting to, you know, to learn, you know, your journey, and how you know, grew up, and how you're really using this as a vehicle right now to really, you know, transform, to really be the beginning of generational blessings, you know, for your family, of what's possible, of really pushing the boundaries of possibility, you know,
Mhm.
for yours and everyone that comes into your space, especially because now you want to also be incredibly influential for, you know, for others, you know, and that's what it's about, you know. Entrepreneurship for us, land flipping, you know, or entrepreneurship in the form of land flipping has really sculpted, you know, our spirit, and has allowed us to really, you know, start looking at how can I be transformational, not just to my family, but outside of others, you know what I mean? And so it can really, it really, if you work it, if you stay committed, it can really move you from just money in the bank and tactical and strategical to really being in a very living a very purpose-driven life, you know? I'm super excited to hear that, because that's, like I said, you are a leader, a trailblazer, and, you know, I can already recognize and see that. I had another, like I said to you earlier, another of our gals that is also in the coaching program, and we are so proud of you guys and excited to continue to support you and to even, why not here, you know, present you the opportunity while we're here recording, that we would love to, you know, to have you be part of, you know, the leadership team that continues to help us affect and bring that spirit of transformation, of hope, you know, to others with the one thing that we know how to do well, you know. So thank you so much, Christina, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that, you know, off recording, but it was such a pleasure and an honor. If anyone, you know, watching or listening to this, if you guys are interested in learning a little bit about our program, you can go to landconsultation.com, www.landconsultation.com, and you can also hook up with Christina. She is part of our Facebook group, the Land Profit Generator Real Estate Investing Group. Do you want to, I don't know, any information as how can people connect with you, you know, outside of the Facebook group? You're very, you know, welcome to share it.
Just probably Facebook, Christina Walls, or clwalls71@gmail.com.
Awesome.
Email address.
Thank you so much. It was such an honor, Christina.
And it was an honor. I appreciate you inviting me.
Thank you.
I hope this episode left you feeling inspired and ready to get inflows of cash, inflows of light, and inflows of faith in your life. I welcome your reviews on iTunes. Please leave me a review and help me create an amazing community of women in flow. Thank you, as always, for sharing your voice by going to michellebosch.com and joining the conversation about this show. And while you're there, grab a copy of my 10 Commandments to Living a Life in Flow. You can also follow me on Facebook at Michelle Bosch and on Instagram at Michelle Bosch Official. Thank you very much, and until the next one.